Floyd is pop. We knew he was pop.
Yeah, that boy Floyd Mayweather got caught up with a case recently. Let's see what the Joe Budden Pod had to say about this. You better like the video. You better subscribe. Let's get it.
Floyd is pop. We knew he was pop. Fulio, y'all get life. That was a stupid murder plan.
Hold up, it ain't just that Floyd is pop, Joe. Is that he caught some felony charges now. Or one felony charge, or one felony case, and then there's the other issue, right? One is that they're saying he took money for the Mike Tyson fight.
And the Pacquiao fight.
And the Pacquiao fight.
Both fights.
And kind of didn't give it back, and it kind of bounced. Then there's the bad check allegation, over $200,000 bad check. That's for the watch, right?
For the watch, yeah.
Where he wrote a check for a watch, wasn't a good check. My man asked for the watch back, didn't give it back. It's been over a year. My man finally said, yo, I got to do something about this. Like, one, I thought you were wrong on this. Initially,
you thought he wasn't pop?
I underestimated the extent to which I thought. Sometimes people aren't liquid,
right?
He's starting to make moves that aren't just like I'm not liquid. It's like
popped.
He's please,
again,
like
he's suing his own people's for
team.
His team. What was it, $300 million or something?
A lot.
It's a lot of money that he said, yo, was taken without me knowing. So if I think I got certain bread and it ain't there, and I found out y'all got it. And I got expensive lifestyle, I might be really fucked up now.
Is it hard to have sympathy for Floyd? For me, it is.
It's not for me.
It's not hard.
It's not for me.
Why?
I struggle. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm just saying when I watching how he's lived over the last 20, the flamboyance, the money. It's just hard when I watch people. I watch people get robbed of their money, right? There's a way that he moves with money that makes it harder for me to feel sympathetic. And I'm not saying it's fair. I'm just saying
that's not fair
at all.
I'm stipulating. I'm not saying this is fair.
But you're saying how you personally feel about that.
Yeah, it's like when I watch something like "fuck you, poor people," and then they lose their money. I don't have as much sympathy. You know what I mean? It's just harder for me. You know, but I still think it's unfortunate. I feel bad. And I also don't know that he got robbed. I hope it's true that he didn't just mismanage his money, that, you know, there's some recourse that he can get his money back.
But even if he did,
yeah,
Floyd, do you know Floyd have ever said "fuck you"?
That's what I was. Yo, you took the words out of my mouth. Just because I live a flamboyant lifestyle, that don't mean I'm necessarily saying putting my middle finger up to people that are poor.
Actually, I might have seen the exact opposite. I meant Floyd, when he's in giving mode,
that nigga will go in his pocket and give niggas 10,000, 5,000.
Yeah, he gave
like
a lot to a lot of people.
Changed a lot of lives.
I don't mean he literally said "fuck you, poor people." I'm saying when you walk around
through actions.
I don't see how y'all could go on vacation with less than 12 watches. I don't see that kind of shit.
That was all part of a character, no more.
Yeah, and I'm saying that character for me doesn't encourage sympathy.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So let me.
I'm just telling you, for me,
I think we lose track sometimes. I think that
Floyd was a good kid, man.
Yeah, it's levels to a bunch of shit, right? It's levels to a bunch of shit. So, and this is where we get caught up in our billionaire conversation or ultra rich conversation. That's like somebody saying, yo, I have empathy for Marc if he hits a bad patch because Marc got 300 pairs of sneakers and that's obsessive and he don't need 300 pairs of sneakers.
I think that would be reasonable. But again, Marc
is wired different.
But here's the thing: I'm not saying I don't have sympathy because he has a lot of stuff. I'm saying it's the flaunting of it that makes me less sympathetic. If I walked around, came on TV every day and said, y'all niggas wearing the same pair of sneakers twice? Fuck y'all. And then one day, all my sneakers got stolen. I wouldn't expect you to have sympathy for me, even if...
But that's part of my...
It's wrong if somebody stole my sneakers.
That's part of my job to actually be this person.
Yes, you're just explaining why he does it. I'm just saying, like, it makes me...
Just saying it...
It just makes me less sympathetic.
And a lot of people are like that,
Let me ask you a question, though, Marc. Real quick. Who's the guy that said it was good for Muhammad Ali? The guy that Muhammad Ali made jokes about? Frazier. Do you agree that Frazier said that he made all those jokes about me and then look who can't talk or whatever? Do you agree with that? No matter what Muhammad Ali did for the people, no matter what he stood for, no matter where he was at, still for black people, he was out there on the front lines. Joe Frazier ended up saying that about him. Oh, he said I was the R word. Now look who is that? Look who can't speak. Yeah. Do you agree with Joe Frazier?
What I would say,
he does have a right to say it, but I agree with that sentiment.
What I would say is to Joe Frazier is like, I don't agree that you deserved it, and I think it's wrong that happened to you. But I could understand how Joe Frazier, who's on the business end of those jokes, wouldn't have as much sympathy for Muhammad Ali as somebody else, as he would for George Foreman.
It's the same thing I be saying about how certain people look at Wendy Williams.
Perfect example.
Like, Do we think what's happening to her is a good thing? No, but there are a lot of people that's like, because of the way she built her brand.
If Wendy Williams ruined your
There's
life,
a lot
it's
of people
okay to
that
say I
don't
don't have the
have as much sympathy
But that's
for
a
her
horrible
as they
parallel
should.
because Floyd
I
is
hate
not.
that people with bad hearts get brought up so much in these type of
Yo, listen to
conversations.
this. Not just that. Floyd not out here just ridiculing people and making their life live in hell because I'm rejoicing in the things that my craft has afforded me.
Yeah, see, I think a lot of people
That's not a good
taking
parallel.
that.
Wendy Williams was doing mean shit to people and saying mean shit to people. Cool. Floyd Mayweather's out here saying, yo, I'm rich. Look.
Yeah, but
They different, bro.
Here's the thing. I'm not saying that the parallel isn't that they both did something unethical. It's that one has a consequence to the other. So for me, if Floyd is flaunting money and showing ridiculous spending, and then you broke after showing ridiculous spending,
I don't feel happy for it. I
didn't say I feel
Well,
happy.
I don't feel
put no
less.
sympathy.
I still have empathy for him.
And that's
I feel
great.
so- yeah, I feel
but what
bad.
I'm saying is I find myself having less empathy for someone who has shown what I perceive to be reckless spending and flaunting than someone who didn't. You know,
I get that.
I just do, you know, and I'm okay with that. You know, again, now if I find out that he was robbed, that's different. I don't want no athlete should deserve to get robbed, and boxers seem to get robbed a lot.
But his story is that he was robbed.
And I said, if it is true, then I want him to get justice for that. In fact, I remember I started
So
with.
shouldn't you be?
It sounds like he don't believe that he was robbed.
I just said I hope that that is the case, so that he can have recourse and get his money back, regardless of how he spends it. It's his money. But what I'm saying is that in general, it's harder for me to muster sympathy for someone who has shown reckless spending than it is for someone who has not.
It's hard for me to show sympathy when somebody's committed some type of heinous crime, but a nigga bragging that he got a shit ton of money.
No, a nigga
beat
from the
all
bottom.
odds.
No, a nigga from the bottom.
I'm not holding that against Floyd.
But neither am I. You're misrepresenting my point.
No,
my issue is
But you are holding it against him, Mark.
that he beat the odds and came from the bottom. No, I'm holding up that if you buy 12 watches, if you say I have to wear a different watch every day, I have 75 cars. Yes, if you are
That person goes broke.
again, not broke from being robbed. Because we're mixing two different things.
Broke from
I don't
bad
care
spending habits.
if you throw your money, if you burn your money in the trash can and somebody steals. I have sympathy for you having been robbed. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that if you are broke because you recklessly spent, and I see that image, right, and I watch the world have to watch that, and I watch the impact that has on people, particularly people who won't end up with that kind of money, right? If I see all of that, I'm less sympathetic to that than the person like.
This is back to the Brandon Marshall thing where you was like, yo, I have a problem with you putting that online. So it's not the fact that Floyd purchases 50,000 watches. It's the fact that it's online.
That we know about it.
I'm showing it. I'm bragging with
Just
it.
said that.
There's two pieces to it. Yes, there's two pieces. One is the flaunting of it. That does make me less sympathetic. That's what I started with. And then there's also the flaunting of it. What he's flaunting is reckless spending. He's not just saying, "Here's my bank account. Here's my money. Here's my investments." That would be a little bit different to me.
I only don't like that because somebody on the bottom, somebody on a lower rung than you could always look up and say
That's
that.
what I said. I said
Like,
yes,
that's
and
always applicable.
I said
And
somebody
I'd
could
be
look
okay
at.
with that.
Yeah, he's with that.
I'm
He
okay
said,
with
I
that.
understand
If I went
He
broke
ain't
right
wavering.
now,
He said, I'm with that.
His shoe example is a perfect example. If I was broke and he said, I don't got no sympathy, nigga bragging
got 300 sneakers. I don't fuck with you,
that
bro.
would make sense to
That's
me.
that rich people sentiment. It's the same. It runs all in that same vein.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, because having 300 pairs of sneakers is reckless. It's irresponsible.
Who dictates?
it?
Oh, it's excessive. How about this? It's excessive.
It could be excessive.
Yes.
But I wouldn't call it reckless or irresponsible.
You don't deserve hardship because you live in an excessive
I don't
manner.
think you deserve it. This is where you take what I'm saying and add another
You
layer
don't
to
deserve
it.
sympathy.
I didn't say you
didn't say
don't
that.
deserve sympathy.
He just saying he
I
doesn't
s-
have the sympathy.
And I
he said
stipulated
that.
with this is where our arguments go weird.
Yep.
I stipulated I'm not saying this is fair.
True.
And then we have a whole conversation. You all trying to convince me
You
of
did.
how
No,
unfair it is.
no, you did.
I agree it's not fair. I began with that. I'm just telling you why I feel that way.
Got it.
Got you.
That's it.
You a cold.
Yeah, he a
You a cold man, yo.
non-praying
For what you
Muslim
stand for, you
boy.
cold, yo.
It's consistent with what I stand for.
It is. Well, yeah. I guess kind of.
Cold-blooded. That nigga's cold.
He's cold.
But I was a good kid.
Miz is cold.
He's cold.
He might have been a good kid.
Mizzy,
though.
you cold.
Still a good kid, I think.
Yeah.
He's still a good kid. That's how I know he ain't laid nothing out laid. Nigga been a good kid his whole life, man.
All right, now I honestly feel like this is a good conversation because I feel like if you are a fan of Floyd Mayweather, especially in the black community, and you a boxing fan, and you think you kind of know about Floyd, you have this conversation amongst your friends, I would say once or twice every 2 or 3 years about whether or not Floyd is broke. And it's always that one person that want to just fight for their life for Floyd. And I think generally everybody's consensus is like, he can't be broke. But then somebody will come in and they'll say, but you know he got a gambling habit. You know he be gambling. I heard he owed a casino this. I heard he lost a whole bunch of money doing this, doing that. Then remember, a while ago, I did a video about this and everybody was in my comments trying to correct what was going on because it was updates coming left and right. Supposedly he was stuck out of the country. Was it Dubai or something like that? And it was because some money went missing. So they was holding him and they wouldn't let him catch a flight. Y'all remember this? And that kind of got swept under the rug. But every once in a while, we got a conversation about whether or not Floyd's spending is getting to be detrimental to his legacy and all of the money he's made. And then it'll turn into a conversation of he was making hundreds of millions of dollars every fight. You start wanting to educate people about how much money he was getting. Because some people, if you really don't know, you don't understand that he was really getting a lot of money, okay? And it's just hard to fathom that he would be broke or, you know, some addiction will have him in some kind of financial, you know, strain. With that being said, it's hard for me to say he popped. It's hard for me to say he broke. Last time I really heard about Floyd, I did hear about these fights, and I would hate to think he took the money for these fights and didn't give it back, and he didn't fight. But I remember he was buying property in New York, and he said he was giving it to his grandson, NBA Youngboy's son. You know, that's the one who had a baby with his daughter. And I remember somebody telling me that seems funny to me. And I'm like, why? Because they said, why is he now buying property? Now, in my head, I was like, well, if it's Floyd, he been buying property, right? We probably just didn't know about it. And, you know, it's New York. Everybody wants to kind of be in that kind of scene, and they want to buy property in New York, and they want to buy buildings and hotels and apartment buildings. So maybe that's why it was a story. But I remember somebody telling me, hey, nigga, donate. Hit the super chat. Scan the PayPal. Hit the Cash App. Thank you. Have a blessed day. It looked like to them that he was trying to put some money into something solid because he knew he might be missing some money on the back end, or he might just be trying to transition his money. You know, just the stuff you do when you starting to go broke. So this whole situation where, you know, he's suing his own team for $300 million, which is a lot. And then they said, you know, it was this fraudulent check where he paid for a watch or something like that. It does start to give you that, you know, feeling of, is Floyd popped? But I can understand where Marc was coming from when he said, it's hard for me, because I know a lot of y'all don't like Marc. And I know the co-host, they was trying to get on Marc for what he said. But I do think that's a real thing. When people see you doing all that unnecessary flexing, and I get it. Look, Floyd is from Michigan. Okay, I'm from Michigan. So he's almost like a hometown hero. It don't matter if you from Detroit, Pontiac, wherever. We love Floyd in a totally different way than the rest of the country. I'm just being honest with you. But I can understand people looking at that character or looking at him, you know, with all of these pictures and he lining up money and He was the one who was writing words with the money and stacking up all of this cash and talking, crazy about the money, that somebody who would watch that would say, hey, when I see you doing all of that flexing, instead of maybe teaching about how to make that money last. Remember, he was the one when everybody was mad at Gucci and he was like, I'm still shopping at Gucci. All of that flexing can leave a bad taste in some people's mouths. And I can see somebody like a Marc Lamont Hill who would probably like to see people being smart with their money and teaching the community about how to save money and not waste it on jewelry and chains. We'll look at a Floyd and say, if you blew your money, that's on you. You was dumb. And I think it's a lot of people out there that feel that way about Floyd. And I do agree that that was a part of his character. He was supposed to be the villain. He was supposed to be the bad guy. That's why people was paying to see him lose. We all know it seemed like half of the country just wanted to see him get knocked out because he was so arrogant, and people just wanted to see him get, shut his mouth. Somebody punch him in the mouth because he talked too much, yada, yada, yada. And I also think that's the other half of it too. You still got people who don't like him from his boxing days who probably don't give a fuck about him losing this money either. Okay. So it's almost like a hated guy who was hated by a lot of people in his career. Then you go broke, and then you want, I'm not saying Floyd wants this, but I don't think you can look at those people and say, well, you're supposed to feel sad because he lost all of his money. And let's just be honest, I think in America over the years, there's been a very fast increase of people having a natural dislike for the rich and powerful, and just people who have all of this money that they deem are wasting these blessings or wasting these resources, or, they talk about the disparity between the have and the have-nots. And I think regular people have a certain opinion of the rich these days, right? I even think that goes into all of this Illuminati talk, almost like if you have money or a huge abundance of money, that you must be evil or a bad person. And I think a lot of that creeps into this conversation as well. But I'm wishing the best for Floyd. Got a lot of kids. That's the first thing I'm thinking about. I would hate to see somebody lose all their money, and then you got children and they have to suffer because of, financial mistakes. But also, we got to say this. What's broke for Floyd Mayweather is probably not what's broke for me and you, right? Floyd Mayweather might feel like he broke if he got 10 million in the bank. You see what I'm saying? So, is Floyd really popped, or is he just popped from what he used to have? I don't think Floyd is going to be moving to some 6-figure house and driving some $20,000 car anytime soon. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, he might not have hundreds of millions of dollars no more, but if he got like 5, 10, 20, he'll be just fine. So, his broke is different from everybody's broke too, if he is broke, all right? But y'all tell me what y'all think about this. Appreciate y'all for letting me chat, and make sure y'all like the video and subscribe. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.